What if I told you Carl Jung uncovered a hidden thread connecting some of the greatest minds in history? A trait so rare that only 1% of humanity carries it, yet so powerful it could change the course of your entire life. And what if you've carried this rare gift all along without even realizing it? Stay with me, because by the end of this video, you won't just understand why you think differently. You'll realize that your uniqueness is your superpower. Carl Jung spent more than 50 years mapping the depths of the human psyche, and during that journey, he stumbled upon a striking truth. A small group of individuals don't just think outside the box. Their minds were never inside the box to begin with. These aren't necessarily celebrities or millionaires. They are the quiet thinkers, the soul searchers, the pattern decoders. They walk unseen but deeply tuned into the world's undercurrents. Jung once said, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." But he also discovered that most people never reach this truth, not because they're lazy, but because their minds are not wired for the journey that deep transformation demands. But if you've ever felt like a stranger in your own world, if your thoughts often spiral in directions that confuse or intimidate others, you might just be part of that elusive 1%. Sign 1. You question everything others accept without thinking. Here's something people rarely admit. Most live their entire lives, believing whatever they were told growing up. But you can't help but wonder, why? Jung famously said, "Everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves. While others cling to social norms and inherited truths, your mind disrupts the script. You question not just what, but why, and then why again." To Jung, this wasn't defiance, it was evidence of an evolving consciousness. He saw that those capable of deep psychological growth were the ones who dared to dissect the very foundations of their belief systems. Picture this. Everyone in the room agrees with something, nodding, smiling, echoing the same opinion. But your mind, it's peeling back the layers, wondering where that belief came from, who it serves, and what truth might be buried beneath it. This isn't about being difficult. It's about being honest. Jung saw most people living under what he called collective assumptions, borrowed beliefs, never challenged by introspection. You, however, question not only external beliefs, but your own motivations. While others flee from self-examination, you engage with it like a scientist studying an unknown force. Jung called this process the confrontation with the unconscious, a necessary step toward real growth. Most people avoid this confrontation because it's painful. You embrace it because you know it's freeing. Your questions threaten people, not because you're wrong, but because you're asking the questions they've never dared to face. Sign 2. You're at peace with paradox. Where most minds shut down at contradiction, yours lights up. Jung called this the transcendent function, the ability to hold two opposing truths in harmony. Most people crave clarity. They want good or bad, right or wrong, this or that. But your mind can hold the tension of both and neither. To Jung, this ability marked the truly individuated soul. He saw it in history's great artists, philosophers, and visionaries, those who could sit with complexity instead of running from it. Jung once wrote, "I am astonished, disappointed, pleased with myself. I am distressed, depressed, rapturous. I am all these things at once." That wasn't confusion. That was wholeness. You may have noticed this too. When people take sides, you see both perspectives. When people label others as good or bad, you see the contradiction within them, because you've faced it in yourself. People may call you indecisive, but the truth is, your thinking is too layered for binary boxes. Jung said, "Thinking is difficult, that's why most people judge. But you think through, not around, the problem." You don't need simplistic answers. You need deeper understanding. Sign 3. You crave depth, not attention. You don't collect relationships, you forge soul-level connections. You've likely felt lonelier in crowds than you do in solitude. Jung said, loneliness doesn't come from being alone, but from being unable to communicate things that matter. You know this too well. You'd trade 100 acquaintances for one soul who sees you. You're not antisocial. You're allergic to the superficial. While most bond over hobbies or gossip, you long for moments when masks fall and truth emerges. You've had conversations that felt like home, and others that felt like exile. And you always know the difference. Jung saw that people like you often carry what he called the wounded healer archetype. You understand people's pain because you've journeyed through your own. You don't just talk. You listen. You don't just hear words. You hear wounds. That's what makes your presence feel safe and your absence feel immense. Sign 4. You're drawn to darkness, not afraid of it. While others flee from the uncomfortable, you're drawn to it, not out of obsession but out of necessity. Jung said, one does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious. To Jung, darkness wasn't evil. It was unexplored, and those who explored it, especially within themselves, were the ones who grew. You've likely been told you're too deep, too intense, or too sensitive. What they don't see is your courage. While others avoid tragedy, you study it. While others want heroes and villains, you want to understand the villain's childhood. You don't romanticize darkness. You integrate it. Jung believed true wholeness comes not from denial but from honesty. You've likely confronted your own capacity for failure, pain, even cruelty, not to dwell in shame, but to rise in self-awareness. And ironically, this is what makes you safe. Because you've met your shadow, you don't need to project it onto others. You hold space for people's pain without flinching. Sign 5, you see patterns others miss. Jung called this symbolic thinking, the ability to perceive hidden structures beneath ordinary events. Most people see dots. You see constellations. You pick up emotional patterns in others, even before they're conscious of them. You see history repeating itself in politics, in culture, in relationships. You understand symbols and archetypes like second language. Jung called this synchronicity, meaningful coincidence between inner and outer worlds. You've likely experienced it. Dreams that mirror reality, intuitions that predict events, patterns others dismiss as random. But your mind doesn't just recognize these connections, it weaves them into insight. You aren't just a thinker, you're a decoder of reality. Sign 6, you think in time. Most live in the now, wanting quick fixes, fast results, instant success. You think in decades. You feel the past in your bones and the future in your vision. Jung believed true individuation required a relationship with deep time. He sensed that transformation unfolds, not in hours, but lifetimes. You may find yourself investing in things that take years to bloom, projects, healing, relationships. While others are chasing trends, you're building legacy. This is why your patience often confuses others. It's not that you don't care, it's that you care about what lasts. Sign 7, you're brutally honest with yourself. While others build their identity on defensiveness, you question yourself mercilessly. You play back conversations. You examine your motives. You ask, where did I go wrong? This isn't insecurity. It's integrity. Jung called this conscious suffering, the ability to face your imperfections without hiding from them. You hold yourself to a higher standard, not for approval, but for truth. This is what makes you trustworthy. Because you scrutinize yourself, others feel safe opening up to you. You've probably been told, I've never told anyone this before. It's because they can feel it. You've done your own inner work. Sign 8, you feel responsible for the world. Even when you didn't cause the problem, you carry the pain. Jung said, the world hangs on a thin thread, and that thread is the psyche of man. Your heart breaks for people you'll never meet, for futures you may never see. This isn't weakness, it's evolution. You feel connected to humanity on a soul level. You sense that every choice ripples out. While others ask, what's in it for me? You ask, how does this affect us? Jung observed that people like you often experience a dark night of the soul, a period of intense sorrow when the world's suffering feels unbearable, but those who endure emerge with purpose. Your pain becomes your compass. Your awareness becomes your service. You don't just want to live. You want to leave something better behind. So what does this all mean? Carl Jung didn't just study psychology. He studied the future of consciousness. He discovered that people like you, deep thinkers, questioners, paradox holders, shadow explorers, are necessary for humanity's evolution. You don't just think differently, you live differently. And in doing so, you carry the torch for what's possible. Jung said, to be yourself in a world that is constantly trying to make you something else is the greatest accomplishment. You were never meant to fit in. You were meant to wake others up. So the question is not whether you have an exceptional mind. If you've recognized yourself here, you do. The question is, what will you do with it? Will you hide it, or will you carry it like the torch it is? Let me know in the comments what sign resonated most with you. I read everyone. If this video helped you see yourself more clearly, share it with someone else who needs to hear it. And if you'd like to support this kind of work, leave a super thanks below. It truly keeps this channel alive. Carl Jung believed that the exceptional mind isn't a burden. It's a responsibility. And you, yes you, are the bridge between what is and what could be.